Like 99, maybe 90% of the time, I'm carrying a weapon with me. Like I'm always carrying concealed, if it's for work or it's for my everyday use. It always happens. Like someone sees my weapon or something like that, they'll ask a question. So long ago I got my concealed weapons license, I don't remember the process. I don't even remember like all the laws. So what happened was I met this pretty cool guy and he's got all the information for everything. So today I'm with Vince Jones from Clark and Harris Defense. Help me out?
Defense Training Group.
Defense Training Group. He's going to answer a couple questions that everyone might have. Also give you some up-to-date information about the Virginia concealed carry laws, Maryland, and maybe DC. So real quick, where are you from?
From New York originally, but live in Springfield, Virginia right now.
So
been in Virginia since about 2000.
So you gun guys, you're kind of like your own little group. It's kind of like the boxing community. Like you guys stick together, you share information, which is a good thing, and you're kind of a tight-knit group to get into. When did you actually start getting into, I guess, the gun world?
So I really got involved with guns when I first joined the Marine Corps back in 98.
All right, so I'm supposed to say appreciate for your service right now. So again, I appreciate your service.
That's when I really first started getting involved with guns. 8 years as a Marine, got out at Quantico, and then I had a lapse where I really didn't play with guns too much. It wasn't a requirement anymore. And then recently, probably about 3 years ago, my intent was only for myself to conceal carry, to get a firearm to be able to, for whatever situation may arise, right? In any means, right, situation, I have to protect myself. And in doing that, I realized that I was just leaning on my experience from the Marine Corps, and shooting an M16 over in the sandbox and having to pull your firearm out in the street are not the same. The mindset, the training is different. You know what I mean? So I was mature enough in my mindset to understand that, you know, a lot of times we want to lean on old stuff and be like, oh, I've been doing that for 20 years, right? I've been doing this. So I started taking some classes. I started learning and realized what I didn't know. And then I started realizing what my peers and friends who carry didn't know, and what people who are interested in carrying didn't know. There's so much behind it.
So you're on the gun game heavy. You actually teach classes and do instruction, stuff like that. What type of classes do you teach?
So I'm a certified firearms instructor for concealed carry, personal protection in the home, shotgun, and rifle.
So Virginia has a concealed weapons or concealed carry, whichever one what it is, and then Maryland has something also. What does Maryland have?
So what in Maryland is called wear and carry.
Okay.
It's called the wear and carry permit. And so here's the primary differences when you're talking about Virginia and DC versus Maryland.
Okay.
Virginia and DC are shall carry states or shall issue states, meaning that if you have no significant criminal background, no history of violent offenses and whatnot, no drug history, so forth, the state cannot stop you from getting your concealed carry permit. Okay. It's not a judgment call on them. Meaning that, yep, background check's good, we have to, and he submitted the paperwork, we have to give him his concealed carry for DC and Virginia.
I didn't know that.
Maryland is a may issue state. We will make the determination based on what you're telling us as far as why you want it, whether we'll give it to you or not.
So real quick, not to cut you off. So I do the application for Maryland, and then someone then comes and says they're the final say so. Not me being a great citizen in America for all these years.
Negative, right? Correct.
Another human being has control over me.
Absolutely. And it's at their discretion.
Second Amendment or not.
It's at their discretion, absolutely. So if your justification does not meet their requirements of the interviewee, the person be interviewing you, then you're not going to get your concealed, your wear and carry from Maryland.
Wow, that's big. That's actually, we're going to touch bases on that later, maybe in a whole different show. We'll see. Right. So in DC, I know a lot of people aren't familiar with it, so we're not going to go too in depth in the DC rules. Okay. But I need people to also understand DC now in 2020, you are now allowed to carry concealed. For so long, people did not know. People could not carry concealed in DC, and now you are allowed to carry concealed in DC. But I do need people to understand. Do your research. Get your education about it, because the police officers that are also pulling you over and doing something like that might not be up to date with the laws also. So have something that you're able to articulate the rules. I don't know them. I don't know if are you familiar?
I'm very familiar with them. So DC concealed carry, two big things when it comes to DC concealed carry. One, you have to take a 16-hour course, pass a test, a written test, and pass a range test at a certain percentage, at 80%, I believe, or better. And you have to have evidence of that, and it has to be from somebody that DC Metro Police has certified as an instructor to teach that.
Right.
The other thing behind it is there are a lot of boxes that you have to check when you're concealed carrying in DC. You can't be within 50 feet of a federal building. You can't be within
federal buildings all over.
Exactly.
Okay,
right. Believe 100 feet from a school. If you're aware of a presidential procession coming, you can't be within 1,000 feet of that. You can go into a restaurant that serves alcohol, but you can't go into a bar that serves food. There are certain designators on the buildings that will tell you the classification of the type of service it is. And based off of that, you will know whether you can carry your firearm in there or not. Oddly enough, you can carry inside of a federally insured bank in DC. So there are a lot of laws and a lot of rules, and that's a big part of what I do is the education piece.
I tell you what, I tell you what, I'm gonna get you. We're gonna do a whole. It's hard to get you, man. YouTube, so that important, but we're gonna do a whole other thing on that. So right now we're gonna go from Virginia because for things like reciprocity and things like that, a couple things I don't understand that a couple people don't. So run me through not quickly, but run me through the process of getting a concealed weapons license or permit in Virginia. What do you do? Well, you teach the course, so they can come to you.
They can come to me. So
I'm about to do a shameless plug. So somewhere you'll see the whatchamacallit. Go ahead.
So here's the thing with Virginia. Virginia's requirements are very, very loose. There are online resources where you can go and watch a 10-minute video and get a certificate printed out and take that to go get your concealed carry to whatever county you live in. So you have to show that you've taken a handgun safety course by an instructor that has a certification that's nationally recognized. That could be the NRA, that could be the National Concealed Carry Association. There are a few of them out there. Those are the two primary ones. Once that person gives you a certificate, you can take that to your courthouse. You pay your $45 fee. They run a background check. They make sure you have nothing in your background as far as criminal background that would affect you or restrict you from carrying. And in about 45 to 90 days, you will get your concealed carry permit in the mail. So, however, and this is something I it's one thing to meet the minimum requirement and then get your firearm. But there's a lot lacking in the training requirements for DC.
So I'm for Virginia. I'm going to stop.
I'm sorry, for Virginia.
And we're going to go right back into it. But this is the reason why. I remember now. I've been working with weapons so long. I remember to get mine. I remember that I went to like concealed carry online. Not lying to you, and I got mine. Mind you, I was also carrying a weapon for years. So I said, I'm not going to no class that I could probably teach. That's me. I'm telling you right now. He doesn't know it. Now that I remember this, I'm going to make sure today we are going to set up an online course through his website that we're going to do. And I'm not downing anyone else, but I do not suggest, and I think this is where he's going to get to it, just taking an online class and going. I really recommend range time, or unless the video or the online course is thorough, because you're dealing with weapons and you're dealing with something that could take someone's life. So don't just put your own life and your safety in a 10-minute video. But Go back.
Yeah, so absolutely, that's exactly where I was going. They don't talk about specifically in detail the laws, right? You don't got to know where you can carry, where you can't carry. You got to know the difference between concealed carry and open carry. You got to know the difference between what kind of firearms you can carry out in public, how you transport from point A to point B. You know, people don't realize something like the post office. That's federal property. You can't carry your firearm on federal property in DC. So if you park your car, you're driving around concealed carry, you park your car in the parking lot, for whatever reason you get stopped, you're breaking a federal law at that point. And so knowledge of the laws is extremely important. That's one. Two, pulling your firearm out and actually using it if you're in that position. right? There's a lot that comes with being accurate. And if, God forbid, realizing this is your last option and you have to pull your firearm and you have to use it, hitting your target, stopping the threat, mitigating the threat. What kind of rounds do you need to have in public? The type of rounds I use at the range, the type of rounds I have when I'm concealed carrying are not the same.
So as you see, that everything he just said there was not in my online class. All my online class did was said, keep your finger off the trigger, don't point at anything you don't want to shoot. Right, which is good. Don't get me wrong. I do like the fact that there are ways to get your firearm. But what I don't like the fact is they don't go into depth of the things that you said. Some of those things that you just mentioned, I also forget on my everyday life of still carrying a weapon. Like those things are to me, they're mandatory for you to know. That's why I do suggest, and I'm not just giving my man a plug, but if you don't take his class, take some class. Take something that's going to educate you, because my children are out here, other people are out here, and I want everyone to be as safe as possible. All right. So help me out here. So reciprocity means what? So meaning, if I get my concealed, I got it. I took your class. I went to the range. I'm excited. I got 45 days later, I got my concealed weapons license.
So reciprocity is basically the concept of it's state to state agreements that say if you have a concealed carry permit in state A, you can take it to you can have those same concealed carry privileges in state B.
And I don't need concealed weapons permit for that state?
That state. So for instance, in Virginia has reciprocity for 35 different states. Jeez. You basically take out the whole West Coast and take out the whole northeastern sector of the country, and a couple around the Great Lakes. Everything else is gold.
So we can go to Florida and Georgia. I'm not.
I'd have to check with because it's 35 of them, but 35 for Virginia, 23 for DC, and 24 for Maryland. But check this out. It doesn't necessarily go both ways. Just because state A says you can carry over here, doesn't mean you can do the same in the other. So for instance, if you have your Maryland wear and carry, you are good to go to Virginia. If you have a Virginia concealed carry, you are not good to go in Maryland.
Okay, that was my next question.
It is not, well, I shake your hand, you scratch your back, you scratch mine.
And that's why I tell people it's so important to take these classes. You will not learn that in a regular online class. You just won't.
Now, Florida and Utah, they consider the golden ticket concealed carry permit.
Right, I got my Utah for that reason.
Right, because you carry in almost 40 plus states with Utah and Florida as well. And you don't have to be a resident. There are also some states that you can carry, they have a reciprocity agreement, but it's with restrictions. So you have to know state by state what it is. Again, I'm plugging them free, but U.S. Concealed Carry Association, they basically have a map. Click on your map, it will tell you reciprocity, it will tell you how many concealed carry owners are in that state, it will tell you how many instructors are in that state, it will tell you what state you can go to, it will tell you which states have restrictions, what those are. It gives you the whole nine.
So I got one more question at the end, but for right now, is there anything that you think I need to know, or the common person trying to carry a firearm or getting a concealed weapons license should know? And I know it's vast. I know there's the wide range.
It's a lot. I would start with one, the laws, protecting yourself. You're carrying a firearm to protect yourself, but you have to know how to protect yourself, right? So the laws are a big deal. I recommend, if you're concealed carrying, that you have a physical copy of those laws in your car, in your vehicle, on your person. Oh, wow. What you'll find is that a lot of law enforcement, they're not well versed. They may not know the laws, and they may think they know, and they may state them as fact. And now I don't want my word versus your word. I want the state code that says A, B, C, D that allows me to carry. And so I physically keep those on me in the vehicle. But just knowledge of your state laws is extremely important, because your day can take you anywhere, and you're carrying. And this is such a close area. You dip into DC, Virginia, Maryland, and within 15 minutes, right? So you have to know where you're going and what those laws are. I'd say that's number one. And then number two is, and I'm such a big advocate, dogged, consistent training. You have to train on a regular basis. This is a perishable skill. And you don't know when the time's going to come when you have to pull your firearm. So it's not as though you're at the range and you're like, okay, I know what I'm here for, I know what I'm doing, and your muscles in your mind are all geared for it. It's another thing when you're out at dinner, or you're walking with your family out somewhere, or you're walking anywhere, and all of a sudden a situation pops up. It has to be second nature. It has to be muscle memory. It has to be very quick, and it can't be, okay, you have to kind of have that mindset. And if you don't train on a regular basis, you have so many people that bought firearms when the COVID thing popped off. For so many first-time gun owners, and I guarantee you half of them got their firearm, got their rounds, put them away, and it's like, okay, I got a gun now, I'm good. Right.
Believe it or not, that's literally really scary to me.
It's extremely scary.
So what we're gonna do is later, I'm bringing them back. I promise you, probably at least 2 more times. We're going to talk about having your weapon in Virginia concealed in a car, what to do and what not to do when the police pull you over. This is a very heart-wrenching topic to me, because I get pulled over a lot, and I have no tickets to show for it. It's crazy because I don't have any speeding tickets because I don't speed, but I get pulled over a lot. I might get pulled over for a 10 or because I'm in a lowrider, and it always is a crazy experience with me and these weapons. When they ask me, do I have a firearm, it just gets real tense. So again, I'm used to it. The common person isn't used to it, and I don't want what happened to the young man that got shot in front of his family to happen to any human being. Black, white, it's just unacceptable for any human being for that to go through. So my last question, because I'm a parent and you are also a parent of lovely people. The family that you raise are just good, wholesome people, which I respect. And I would love to know, when should I start, or is there an age to start training my daughter?
So I'm a believer that once your child is of an age of being able of cognizance and understanding of the things you're teaching them when it comes to firearms, your basic 3 firearm rules, right? Not pointing a gun in a direction that's you don't intend to shoot. Keep your finger straight off the trigger till you're ready to fire. Keep your firearm unloaded until you're ready to use it. When they can grasp those basic understandings and concepts and really know what they are, I believe at that stage you can really start the process of training them and getting them to the range and having them shoot. My daughter that's home, she's 11, and I believe she's right there at that age where we can start making some things happen as far as getting a lower caliber, less recoil, intensive firearm in her hands.
She's a smart 11-year-old. So I'm going to say this.
So
I'm going to say this to say, his 11 might not be your 11. I've met this young lady. She's in a very astute, smart grasp of the world 11-year-old. Your 11-year-old might not be that. But if you drill these things into them, they might be able to do that.
Right.
So I will say this. I appreciate you coming out. Where do they reach you and get all this information and take one of these classes? Oh, by the way, the man's classes are. I haven't seen any picture on Instagram of anyone in his class where they don't look happy and stuff like that. But again, people show happy photos. But how do they get you?
For right now, you can find me on Instagram at Clark and Harris, Facebook Clark and Harris. Getting the website built up now, where I'm going to be doing a lot of scheduling and training. But those are the 2 primaries. Phone number 571-277-3541.
So one more time. What is it? What's the Instagram? What's
Clark and Harris.
Okay.
Sounds the way you spell the way you sound it. Clark and Harris, all one word. At Clark and Harris, same thing on Facebook. Follow me, DM me, ask me questions. It's free to ask a question, right? And we can get you down that path. You'll be able to protect yourself and protect your family.
Well, I appreciate you coming out. That's for y'all to cross that bridge over into Maryland. I do appreciate it, man. Thanks for watching. You can subscribe and all that other good stuff I'm supposed to say at the link at the bottom. But if you do, you do. You don't, you don't.
It's Tijuana Jack.